Hi everyone! We are, for this tutorial, going to be doing the fill stitch. So again, I'm still using my Aida cloth from our other stitches. We've done our tack stitch, so our end is little well tacked down. I will get my labels on here. But for our fill stitch, I'm going to come down here to the bottom. And I need a pattern to fill. So I'm going to do... Shall we do a heart or a smiley face? Oh, we'll do a circle. So I need to draw my pattern. And then what I'm going to do is I need a threaded and knotted needle. Put my knot in real quick. Okay. And to do this, I'm going to I want my knot on the back side. You could start here at the edge, or you can start in the middle and work your way both sides, whichever works best for you. I'm going to come up, not quite on the small edge, so I'm going to come up on the line, and then I'm going to go back down on my next line. So it's similar to the running stitch, the back stitch, the tack stitch, but it is filling in my stitches, so I fill in this space. So when I come back up, so there's a couple of ways you can do this. I can either come back up right next to where I went down, or I can come back up on the other side. It depends on your shape. It depends on how much thread you have. It also depends on you as a sewer and which one you work best with. It may depend on what threads you're using. If you're using gold thread, you don't want a lot of runs on the back. If you're using yarn like I am, doesn't really matter. But I want my stitches to lie right next to each other. You're going to notice I have a slight problem here. My stitch, when I went back down, I have this gap. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to fill in. I don't want that gap, but I'll catch it when I go back the other direction. So this time when I come up, I want to make certain that my threads are going to really lie down right next to each other, and so that they create my fill-in stitch, because I don't want to see the fabric underneath. That's why it's called a fill-in. We're filling it in. And we come up. And it's just basically following the pattern all the way around, so that we get our stitches lie right next to each other. Some fill stitches, depending on what you're trying to create, you may want to have them crisscross, but I really like mine so that they sit right next to each other. And if you notice that I'm really squishing in, I'm losing that open gap between my first two. So I think putting this one here, I've filled in to that edge. I'm not really worrying about this line here, because I'll go back over that at the very end. But I've got that gap here, so I'm going to bring my needle up so I can actually go back and fill in that stitch. So you see how, and I just pull it, I can wiggle my fabric a little bit so my threads will sit side by side again. And we're just going to continue around my little yellow bubble, filling it all the way in. So if I were to pull my needle all the way out over there, I'm going to have a huge chunk I've missed. And sometimes you might want to, so you get your edges, but it's really up to you as a stitcher and how you want yours to look. Make certain that if you're coming back up next to it, you do move over a couple of threads. You don't want to go back down and come up in the same spot. You'll unsew it. So it's just a matter of using big stitches, small stitches to create your fill stitch. And I'm trying to make certain I'm always on I go from line to line all the way across. And you can see I've gotten a little bit of space in between here, so I'll catch it when I do a finish up. And part of this is the Aida cloth and the big holes in between, so I've got to split it. But there is a school of embroidery in San Francisco, which is connected to the embroidery school in England, that have been doing these techniques since Queen Victoria was in reign. And their test, their final test, is the front of your embroidery should look exactly like the back of your embroidery. So the front is just, the back is just as pretty as the front is. So I'm about to run out of thread. So I'm gonna go down, I'll show you the tie off, and we'll compare my front and back. You guys ready? Okay, so there's my front, nice and thick and full over here, so I'll have to go back in and fill some of this. Turn it over, oops. So what I did is, a lot of these were side-by-side stitches, and then I forgot and went all the way across on that one. So I'm not passing the Royal Academy's embroidery school. So I'm going to go through a stitch to do my tie off. Pull through, get my little loop, send my needle through twice. And pull tight, and then go ahead and cut off, leaving a little tail. I don't want my cut right next to the knot because I don't want any chance of wiggling out. So this is half a circle in the fill stitch. Thanks everyone.